What is up, guys? So I'm going to give an well, I don't want to say official, but like a review of my experience with the Bootstrap portion of Nucamp. And then I'd like to note that I'm not a professional reviewer, or like I don't have background reviews. I'm just one person, so my review may be like my experience may be different than other people who took the course. So I wouldn't say take it with a grain of salt. I would just say that you should look into, like, this should only be one of the few uh things you should be doing for your background checking, whether or not you want to actually take the course or take the boot camp as a whole. So yeah, I would say just do your own due diligence, and this is my experience. So I have a couple notes here of what I'm going to go into. I'm actually going to have pictures pop up on the screen. Like, I'm going to edit it later on when I actually get into the actual bullet points. Like when I get into the structure of the course, I'm going to recreate what the website looks like, because I don't think I can show it officially, but I don't think there's anything wrong with actually recreating it, just to show you guys. Let's see some of the bullet points I have here. So I want to start with breaking down the structure of the course, and as you see on the screen, I have this that they gave us. It's basically an outline of the entire course, Nucamp for full stack. The difference between full stack and front end is that you have this node which gets into the server side of stuff. That's pretty much the only difference. I believe it's only an extra 4 weeks, so it's not that much longer. Okay, as far as the structure goes for Bootstrap, it's 5 weeks, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how it's set up is that I believe all of the courses are set up like this, but how it's set up is like, basically it's self-paced. You have videos on the website, and I'm going to try to recreate how it looks or how it's structured on the website. And you have sections for each topic they get into. Like, for example, on week 1, they may have like maybe like 10 or 15 different sections, 10 or 15 different sections. So you can click on that section, and each section has like some text and maybe 1 or 2 videos of what you have to do, or whatever they're teaching for that specific section. And then in other sections, it may be the same thing, or maybe like a resource page, or maybe like once you start getting into the actual Bootstrap, it may be like an actual code challenge. And how the code challenges work is that they send you a link to a code pen. If you don't know what code pen is, it's an in a browser code editor, or whatever you want to call it. So you can like, I'm sure you could just look it up instead of me explaining it. It's much easier to just look it up. So yeah, they send you a link to that, and then they have the actual challenges within it. So you have to complete those challenges in order to pass to the next section. So yeah, I'm trying to think. And as far as the in-person workshops go, because usually it's in person, but because COVID, they started doing online. So basically you have an instructor. Of course, you have an instructor. So I like to note that the person in the video it's completely different than the instructor. So basically, I don't believe they change the actual. I don't believe they update the actual videos, because I was looking at some of the videos. I believe some of them were YouTube links, but they were private, but you could still click on them. So when I would click on them, I would see that some of them were like maybe like from like 2019, I believe, and some of them were maybe a little bit fresher from like maybe 2020, like early 2020, something like that. But I guess if nothing really changes as far as the updates go to the languages, I guess if nothing changes, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so yeah, the instructor is actually pretty different. Well, it is a different person than the actual person in the video. So yeah, so yeah, at the end of the week on Saturdays we have workshops. So in the workshops, they go from 9 to 1, and I'm actually going to get into that when I get into basically how many hours it actually was per week, etc. So actually, let's get into that right now. So basically, Nucamp, it claims that you will need like I think it was like 3 hours a day or something like that. It claims that you need a lot of commitment, but I didn't find I needed that much. I would say that on a weekdays, you probably only need like no more than an hour and a half a day, like, because Bootstrap, it's really not that hard. And I would say that was one of the main problems with the workshop. Like on Saturdays, like we would always come up, we would always end pretty early, because Bootstrap is really not that hard. Like you can learn Bootstrap in maybe like if you have prior HTML CSS knowledge, you can probably learn Bootstrap in like 2 weeks or less. So we would like end pretty early, maybe like an hour and a half early. So the workshops would be maybe like 2.5, 3 hours at most, a lot of the time. And I forgot to mention how the workshops would work is that the instructor, whoever the person was, we would have the same instructor for the whole Bootstrap course. And the instructor, what they would do is they would go over what we went through for that week, like whatever the videos were, whatever were in the sections. So it would be like pretty much refresher type thing, and you got to ask questions. Like if you had maybe questions that you didn't understand for that week, you could write them down. You could ask them live, and you can also ask them on Slack, because they give us Slack channel. They give us multiple Slack channels. They give us basically a Slack for. Actually, I'm gonna. Wait, should I recreate it, or should I just explain it? I'm trying to think. I feel like recreating it would be pretty difficult, so I'm gonna try to explain it. So basically, you have a couple different Slack channels. You have one Slack channel for the general bootcamp as a whole. It doesn't matter if you're full stack, front end, just the web development, the web fundamentals portion. Doesn't matter. You have one full stack for that overall, and then you have you have one Slack channel for that overall, and then you have one Slack channel for basically finding jobs post bootcamp, where they post like a lot of like resources that you can go into. You have like a lot of people who actually got jobs, and they try to help people get jobs, like where they can look. You have people posting job posting, stuff like that. And then you have you basically have a Slack channels for each of the portions. Like you have one for like Bootstrap, React Native, Node. So you have, and these are the general ones. And then you have Slack channels for your specific class, like for your classmates and instructor. And in last videos, I was saying how the classes are capped at around 10 to 12 people, which is pretty good. So it's not overwhelming. It's not like you have like 30 people in your class. It's only like 12 people at most. So yeah, you have, like, if you're taking the Bootstrap portion, you're gonna have a general Bootstrap Slack channel, and then you're gonna have a Slack channel for your specific Bootstrap class. So the general Bootstrap Slack channel may have like a couple hundred people or more, but your specific one only has like 12 people with your instructor. So yeah, so going back to the actual time thing, yeah, it doesn't really take that long, because like I said, it's pretty easy, especially if you're coming in with prior HTML and CSS knowledge, experience. I would say you shouldn't need to spend more than an hour and a half a day on it to understand it. Yeah. And so going actually back to the structure of it. You have a final project for each section, I believe. I think each section besides the node. So yeah. So at the Bootstrap, you have final project where you have to use Bootstrap elements in your project. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the structure goes. I'm trying to think. I cover everything. I cover Slack. I cover the actual, yeah. Can't really think of anything else. So let's go to the next point I want to talk on, and that's the actual knowledge. I believe I actually got into that a little bit when I said that you can actually learn it pretty easily if you have prior knowledge. Like I think you can learn Bootstrap in like 2 weeks or less. But I like to note that this course is generally aimed at full-time people. So I think that's why they actually stretched it out, because a lot of people, they have like kids, or like they may be working like long hours, maybe like 8 to 10 hours a day. So yeah, so they I guess they don't want you to overwhelm yourself if you're working full time with a family, whatever. So if you're like a younger person and you have like a lot of free time on your hand, or if you're only working like if you're only working like a part-time job, like you'll find that you have a lot of extra time to do other stuff. So I would say that if you do end up taking this course, find other resources that you can practice your skill on, or other courses, so you can like just reinforce the knowledge of what you're learning. Like there's a lot of like, I actually go over this in prior videos. There's a lot of like websites where you can like practice your knowledge with CSS, HTML, Bootstrap, pretty much any front end language or whatever. And I'm actually going to try to include those in the description if I can find them. But yeah, there's a lot of them out there. You can actually even do the like website challenges. So yeah, got off topic a little bit. So next point I want to speak on was the teacher. So I believe this is very relative, since everyone will have different experiences with teachers, because no teacher is alike. So my teacher may be different than someone else's, but I'm going to get into this anyway. I would say the thing I like about Nucamp is that the teachers actually work in the field. Like with a lot of other boot camps, the problem is that they hire people who don't really have experience working. Like they may even hire people who are still in the course. Like for example, what other boot camps do is they may like hire somebody who's like maybe in the React Native portion, which is 2 courses up from Bootstrap, and they may hire them to teach the Bootstrap portion. And I don't like that because I want someone who's actually knowledgeable, like who has been using these languages, frameworks, libraries, for years. And that's what my teacher was doing. I believe he has been working as an actual developer for about 4 years now. Yes, I think it's about 4 or 5 years for the Bootstrap portion. So yeah, I would say that's one of the main benefits, since they actually know what they're talking about. So yeah, let's get to the next point. So an overall review of Bootstrap, I would say that it depends on the circumstances you're coming in with. Like I was saying, if you're like someone who doesn't know much about web development as a whole, but like maybe you took the web fundamentals portion, which is like a month, and you didn't know anything about that beforehand, this will be a pretty great introduction to Bootstrap. But if you're someone like me, who has been coding on and off, I've actually been coding on and off since 2019. So I already knew a lot. Well, not a lot. I would say a little about languages, like how they work and interact in general. So it was kind of pretty easy to me, especially since I took the those Udemy courses on HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So I came in with a decent amount of knowledge. So it wasn't really challenging for me. So I would say, with my personal experience, if I were to rate it out of 5, I would say a 3 out of 5 for me. And I have another bullet point on what can be improved. I would say that for me, what can be improved is actually teaching more Bootstrap elements and having more challenging code problems. Like they have code problems and they were somewhat a bit challenging, but I just feel like they were kind of underwhelming, and I wish they got into JavaScript early on, because I don't know, I just wish they got into JavaScript more early on, since that's what we're doing a lot in the later courses. So yeah, another improvement I have is that they can as far as the actual video goes, like the videos they have on their website, I feel like the instructor, like the person in those videos, I actually looked her up. She's actually a real professor. So I'm pretty sure she actually knows what she's talking about, something like that. But still, I would say that sometimes in the videos she can go too fast, and she doesn't really like explain what she's doing sometimes, and you can sometimes get lost. Like even though this kind of contradicts what I said about it being pretty easy, but still you can sometimes get lost, and it can make debugging, pretty annoying. And yeah, I wish he just explains how things interact with each other so you can fully grasp what's going on, pretty much. Trying to think what else. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. But if you have any questions, so that was my last bullet point. If you have any questions, just comment them below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my abilities. So yeah, like I said, my overall review is a 3 out of 5 for me personally. So yeah, thank you for watching. I have other videos coming soon. Peace out.